another edition of Doom Patrol. That's how I feel whenever we do this show anymore. I'm your host, as always, and this is ComicCorp, Chad Porto. Joining me, as always, is the glorious co-host himself. He's the hostess with the mostest, the ghostess with the mostest. He's Space Ghost Marcus Green. Marcus, how are you?
Good eye, mate. Going good.
Apparently he's Australian now. We're just going to roll with him. Joining us, as always, on the other end of the spectrum, is the brackiest of brack colleagues. He's the one who likes to eat stuff and sing with Freddie Prinze Jr. I'm blanking on brack gimmicks from the show. I just remember that one fucking scene with him and Freddie Prinze Jr. where they're singing. I don't remember what the fuck they were singing. They were just singing. It was awful. Kind of like Zach. He's actor Tyler P. Duncan. Welcome, Zach.
I don't have to take this abuse.
And, of course, I'm the Zorak of the group because I'm always angry, and I may have eaten some of my relatives. That's actually a joke. I haven't. But Zorak did. He ate his nephew. I think we need to do an entire look back at Space Ghost Coast to Coast. I think that needs to be one of our fucking shows that we're doing in our post-weekly ComicCorp world. That show's so good. It's so good. But I digress. So we don't have a jam-packed show. We should be in and out by 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. depending on time zones. We got Why the Last Man this week. We're upping the read count because we're trying to get everything wrapped up by the end of Doom Patrol and Stargirl for the season because we're going to change formats. So we're expediting Why the Last Man to get there. Then we'll talk Doom Patrol. Cliff finally fell to Earth. That wasn't a metaphor. And we'll talk Stargirl. Oh boy. Stargirl. Can't wait for that one. Thackeray, why don't you take us down the rabbit hole that is Why the Last Man, though? Because we're covering issues 24 through 36.
Yes.
So handle that.
All right. So I actually think we talked about issues 24 and 25, Tongues of Flame, because that was, they finally get to California. Yorick hooks up with another chick that's named Beth and scares off some Amazon daughter people by pretending he's God. I think we covered that one. If not, then I just gave you everything you need to know. That's all that happened in those two issues. Though Yorick finally got to relieve some quote unquote pent up aggression with said chick Beth. That won't cause problems for him when he finally meets up with his actual girlfriend named Beth. After that, we got Hero's Journey, where we see basically a nice summary of what Yorick's sister Hero was doing when the plague hit, how she met up with the Amazons, and how she broke her journey of breaking free from the Amazon control after the events of Maryville, I believe is what that place was called. And how she essentially is on her way of recovering and reforming, while she takes up the mission given to her by her mother of tracking down Yorick, because her mother still thinks that Agent 355 is not someone to be trusted because she's an idiot. So after that, we get the arc Ring of Truth, which we finally, our protagonists finally get to San Francisco, where after, I believe, dressing up as a mascot and attending a basketball game, Yorick gets sick, and he barfs up some red fluids, so everyone panics, thinking the plague is back and it's going to kill him. Turns out it was just food poisoning from dead tomato soup cans. Go figure. While that's happening, 355 is trying to negotiate with some Culpa Ring rejects / defectors, and they all get in a scuffle when Hero happens to show up, and 355 basically kills them all, brings Hero back, and Hero manages to make peace with everyone. And Dr. Man claims Yorick is still alive. It has something to do with monkey feces.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Because Ampersand is the true hero of this story.
A duh.
A duh. So, the problem with that is, though, as soon as we find this out, a mysterious ninja lady swoops in, steals Ampersand, and makes off for Japan, because apparently somehow we find out that she's working for Dr. Man's mother, I guess. I don't quite remember how they discovered upon that, but they're on their way to Japan to get the monkey back.
As one does to get monkeys back.
As one does. On their way there, of course, they... Hero, 355, and Dr. Man hitch a ride on a cruise ship turn, I guess, supply ship or
Frigate.
what have you. Frigate. I'll go with that. That turns out to have spies on board from the Australian Navy, because this whole kerfuffle, and it turns out they are actually on a ship full of pirates.
Yarg.
who are essentially keeping the opium trades flowing through Australia and other such countries. So, peeps get in bed with the wrong peeps. There's a female monkey involved that everyone thinks is Ampersand for a second. Dr. Man hooks up with a chick with an eye patch. It's all kinds of good stuff.
Because again, Yarg.
Yarg.
Yarg, matey.
Oh, but also, before she hooks up with eye patch chick, she and 355 managed to get some with each other, which Yorick walks in on, and it just causes all kinds of friction on this delightful threesome.
Yard?
Which finally brings us to Boy Loses Girl, which we catch up with Yorick's actual girlfriend, Beth, in Australia. Last time we saw her, she was being abducted by a Aboriginal tribe, and they were holding her there, and one of them was essentially giving her some hallucinogenics to get her to have some kind of self-realizing vision of some sort, in which we see how she met Yorick in college, how they fell in love, how they had planned at one point before she went to Australia, they had talked about going to Paris. So to meet up on not the Eiffel Tower, but the Arc de Triomphe, is how I think you pronounce it. After that, they let her go, and that's the last we see. One could only assume that she is on her way to Paris.
So to surmise the relationship of York and Beth. I can only say this once, and it will be totally clear to anyone who's ever seen the show. They are Ted and Robin. They're just the worst.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of hoping they both die in a fire pit, but I know how it ends. So I'm sitting here utterly disappointed. Here's hoping I read the ending wrong. Yarg! Marcus, thoughts on this this current crop of Why the Last Man issues?
Yeah, it's funny. Because the whole York and Beth thing probably ended up being not as interesting as I thought it would be. And it's kind of like these other characters that are branching out with stuff like Dr. Man. 355 has some stuff that blew back on her. His crazy ass sister was basically having a Norman Osborn thing with the dead Amazon leader chick. The random ninja shit. Like everybody besides Yurik is becoming like outbeating him in his book, and him like an ampersand is just there. So that's probably been my biggest takeaway. His mom is still stuck on stupid. As Zach pointed out, and yeah, it's all these relationships with these women around him that he's kind of inadvertently brought together, which definitely got intriguing with Dr. Man and 355 because I was anticipating something popping off between the two of them, but I guess that kind of just faded on its own, and she kind of started looking at him like a little stupid brother that she had to constantly look out for. But
well,
yeah.
I do have to point this out. When Y's only male role model is a monkey, you tend to behave like your role models, I like to point out. So Y's going to be a little douche because his only role model is a monkey. Granted, I think that would be a great role model, personally. But, I'm not everyone. As much as I like to try to speak for everyone. But Marcus, I think you're dead on with the acknowledgement that the ladies are having the better arcs at the moment. Why it's just kind of like, I gotta find Beth, and everyone's like, gosh, shut up. We're gonna go extinct in 60 years. Shut up, you giant intergalactic nerd. But, Y's got a Y. And I do love the fact, like, when I first read it, that monkey feces was the reason why this whole thing is happening. I just laughed.
It's really intriguing because it's like the girl that he almost slept with back in that town that unfortunately got killed, and then the girl he ended up sleeping with. Like, even though I didn't know anything about Beth really at the time, besides some tidbits that he dropped in flashbacks, I already had felt like those two women were already more interesting than she was.
You will not be incorrect. I'm sorry to say. The whole Beth storyline kind of plays out like Eurotrip in a lot of sense. Just a lot of people screaming Fiona for no reason. Only Beth in this case. Fiona!
I hope we don't get disappointed like that when the boys comes back. Because I'm just... if we got to suffer with Billy's journey this season, like it got to be worth it.
I have a feeling that Boys Season 2's kind of subtitle nickname is going to be The Cuckening.
The Cuckening?
Oh, it's not going to be ideal for poor... What the fuck is his name? I keep wanting to call him Hannibal. That ain't right.
Yorick.
No, no, boys. Drudge Dread's name.
Huey.
Nope, other one.
This
Butcher, there it is.
Mother's...
Butcher. There you go.
Butcher's gonna get cucked, and it's gonna be bad. I have a feeling that whole shot where the Homelander's all covered in blood looking down at the camera, I have a feeling that's gonna be Butcher's decrepit face after he goes, "Did you cuck me?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then there's gonna be a fight. That's just my thought. I don't know. We'll find out. Marcus, take us to Doom Patrol. What was going on this week with the folks in the wacky costumes?
Yeah, man. This week it is all the shenanigery on Doom Patrol. Basically, Miranda, the new primary, if you will, for our beloved Crazy Jane, tries to help protect our regular crew from some truly terrible ideas, literal terrible ideas, when a mysterious package manner, which gets off into, I guess, the crux of the episode. Rita visits a Cloverton beekeeper that, in a way, kind of inadvertently starts what I guess is going to be the healing towards her resentment and just overall mommy issues. And then I guess the third part of the ep this week was Niles literally heads north. Apparently his chair also comes with snow traction. Heads north to find Dorothy's mother because he's at his wit's end about what to do with her. So basically, the package that arrives introduces this pink-skinned microscopic beings called Scant, which kind of infects the Doom Patrol. Basically, it plants bad ideas into the host, and then which allows them to produce something called Uma Jelly, which these Scants feed upon. And they will take that to their Scant queen, and they would basically die once she's extracted off from them. So basically, our crew has to go. I think they went into the painting or something like that. Yeah, they basically went to that painting, which no longer holds Mr. Nobody, who we got a reference by what that was, the bearded guy from last season,
hunter,
the creepy beard hunter bastard from last season, that is now hiding within the painting from the Scants by painting himself in some flower, it looked like, to blend in with the background. He referenced that Mr. Nobody literally took another show, which I thought was hilarious because he obviously is on Harley Quinn. They go in to confront the Scants. They get captured by the Scants and brought to the Queen. And she basically was like, everything is coming up Scant Queen, until she realized that Miranda is on some whole other stuff, and she basically channeled the I forget her name, the one who literally has a shark tongue with the work, and she killed. Yeah, I got her name, but they take her out. Our crew gets saved along with the guy in the coat that Niles calls upon to get rid of his daughter. I forget his name, but he's with them, and they basically get away from defeat the Scant Queen thanks to Miranda, who may or may not be up to shenanigans, because we find out within the bowels of the underground that apparently people's stations are starting to shut down for whatever reason. I have a theory that she's trying to end up being the sole primary, but that could obviously go to something else. So, poor Cliff. Cliff got ejected last week.
Literally.
Okay, he literally got ejected last week, and he was classic Cliff, cursing up a storm. Apparently got to a point where his legs locked up on him, had this hilarious interaction with this goofy dude, and ended up having to take a bunch of unnecessary selfie / shout out videos to try to call somebody. Preferably, I think he tried to either call Doom Manor or his daughter, and we ended up making it back to Doom Manor, and they had this great moment where apparently Niles sent the video of what he did to him to his daughter, and now she appears to be ready to meet him halfway. So that was a great moment. Like I said, not Jane, but Elastigirl, Elasti-Woman had this great moment. Like I said, she had this moment with these bees. She had a little revelation about her mom, but she ended up having another hero moment where she stopped a mugger in a bee outfit.
Yeah.
Cheap outfit. That was adorable, I guess. And when it came to Niles, like it was weird because apparently he had all-purpose chair. And he literally went out, I guess, back to the place where he met Dorothy's mom. Was kind of like praying to her for a sign of what he should do next. And ended up getting a vision from the candle maker, basically telling him, like, yeah, you do know that I literally come from these people, right? So you and everybody else, you're screwed. And he screamed and did this stuff and apparently made a deal with the guy in the overcoat to, I guess, be the last resort for Dorothy should he have to get rid of her. So, he's in the process of dying. He's at his wit's end, and that's kind of how the episode ends.
His name is Willoughby.
Yes, Willoughby, the guy who's in love with this mystic horse thing.
It's a fucking weird show, man. It's just fucking weird. I love the scants. I love their little vests. They're creepy as fuck, and I dig it. Zach, thoughts on this week's Doom Patrol, though?
I dug this week's Doom Patrol. For the most part, it was a nice little reprieve, especially for Larry, because he's just been constantly shit on this entire season so far. So it was nice to have a little bit of levity. This was a very
necessary, I would say.
Yes, very necessary. We can't. It can't be doom and gloom all the time, guys.
Despite the name.
So, but out of that, we get, like Marcus said, we might be getting some closure between Cliff and his daughter. We have a little bit of a mystery going on with the Underground with Jane. As Marcus said, I'm assuming Miranda's up to no good because, she came up from the well where the image of Kay's father is. So one can only assume that nothing good comes out of there. So, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, it was a very, very interesting, very lighthearted episode, and it was a great shout out to Mr. Nobody's new gig.
So I have a feeling that whatever goes into the pit, if you will, doesn't come back correct.
No.
So it's going to be a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that was interesting. It's I think this week we had Jane. Did she go ask the little girl what do you need me to do? I'm supposed to be protecting you or whatever. And she was like, you're supposed to be the mediator or something like that. You know what to do. Just kind of go do it. And then she basically just kind of handed the reins. But that's really intriguing because I think the key moment in the episode in terms of the Jane thing was that Scant Queen was able to basically, I guess, read all their bad ideas. And she was like, I can't read you, but you are one sick, twisted puppy. What is in your head? And then she was like, oh, no, we're not pulling that Xavier game, and killed her. So that's she's definitely up to something. But, like Zach said, man, you can't help but want to root for Cliff and Larry because they've been going through the ringer, and for Cliff to get ejected like that, and took a hell of a long walk, by the way, get ejected like that after he basically made up his mind and look, if the kid has nobody else and she's clearly not going to have you for much longer, we got her back. So, but yeah, Candlemaker's becoming more and more a-hole, and I'm digging it because this conversation is getting he's just basically checking everybody. It's the minute I get out of here, this show is effed, right?
Not untrue. So we are moving. So apparently Payback's going to be a week after SummerSlam. The fucking company's just garbage.
Summer scam.
Essentially. So, and Doom Patrol, episode 11. The Shining Knight. That's a Simpsons joke, if you get it. The Shining Knight. Don't you mean The Shining? No, we'll get sued. You got The Shining. So it's the return of the Shining Knight, one of the original 7 Masters of Doom, 7 clapbacks of horror. What were they called? 7 Heroes of Fortune.
I think it's definitely that sounds right. 7 Heroes of Fortune,
something like that.
But there are 8 in the picture.
That was always a topic of debate for the group. Well, he's getting his memory back. He's like, "Hey Pat, I'm Justin, the janitor. I'm starting to remember some shit. Like, I have Excalibur for some reason. I don't know why. Can you help?" And Pat's like, "Well, I'd what?"
It's like, "Where's Seabiscuit?"
With Tobey Maguire. We have Courtney's real father showing up, and turns out Sam's kind of a giant D. Go figure. Shocking, I know. He wants the old locket that Courtney has so he can pawn it, and Pat's like, "Listen, man, I got some night from 13 goddamn 99 trying to figure out what the hell's going on today. He doesn't know what an iPad is, let alone what a car is. And he's got this amazing fucking sword. It's fucking crazy. I ain't got time for your shit, Sam. You needs to go. Get. And don't ever come back." And Sam's like, "Well, I was only paid for 1 episode anyway, so fine."
He basically told him, like, "Hey, you seen Crank? You did that with me." That's basically what he said.
Hey, Sam, you ever see that movie Crank? Yeah. That movie was based off of our sex life. Sam just kind of like hangs in the doorway. That's a... How's your heart not exploded? Who says it isn't, Sam? Who says it isn't? Turns out Pat has a electronic heart. Go figure. Literally the plot of how Crank 2 ends, by the way. Jason Statham gets like an electronic heart. Or he gets like an electronic heart at the start of the film. Crank 2 was weird. They were both weird. Holy shit, we need a 3rd movie. So also along the way, we find out that the villains know who Stargirl is. And that the staff is powered on positive energy. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's powered by arrogance, hubris.
Self-esteem.
Nope, I think I was right with the arrogance.
Yeah, also fair.
So the staff is all like, "Listen, bitch, you ain't self-esteem. You ain't the offsprings. So I'm gonna just chill here." But then the staff decides that it's gonna work again because Barb said you can do it. I don't know. This show's getting weird. And by weird, I mean it's not. It's getting very, very basic. Barb's on board now with the superhero-ness? Wait. All right. Arrow season 6 says your rating's a bit off. Arrow season 3 agrees. Arrow season 1 hasn't even checked into the conversation because it's not even gonna bother with your dumbass. Arrow season 2's on a beach somewhere getting blown by like 60 different Arrow models. Like,
Somebody's in the background screaming, "I keep my promises."
I keep my promises, kid.
Oh, Slade.
What a great villain. Whoa, Manu Bennett, you mwah, beautiful bastard. So eventually, Brainwave's like, "Listen, I can kill you from 6 fucking football fields away, but I'm gonna go tell Icicle who you are, and we're gonna plot to kill you." Instead of just, drive-by braining the house, apparently. Seriously, Icicle can just make a giant fucking piece of, like, ice that crashes into the house and kills everyone. But I guess we got a plot to destroy. Okay, whatever.
Oh, that exchange. Like, "Man, I killed my wife and my son. You freaking hesitating because of a damn secretary? If you don't let me go and murder them right now."
Why is Brainwave even taking fucking instruction from Icicle. Brainwave's clearly the strongest person in the goddamn ISA. He could just be like, hey, Icicle, what am I thinking? And Icicle just starts bleeding from the nose. Aneurysm? Oh, look, you got it right, Icicle. And then Icicle dies.
That's actually a really great scene they should do. And just all they had to do is use another kid because we know this show has a fetish for dead kids.
I mean, both guys have shown that they don't mind killing kids.
No.
Yeah. Well,
they're fine with it.
You know what's funny, and I mean, obviously more to talk about in the episode, but I think you was on to something with your theory, but it's the wrong person in the family. 2 weeks now, they've been setting up little Mike for L.
Oh, yeah. Don't do it. I'm here for Mike. Don't do it. Mike and Icicle. That's it. That's who I'm here for.
They've been setting up poor little Mike for like either stumbling upon like into heroism or becoming a real sad innocent bystander in all this, because he's like the odd man out of all this. So.
Yeah, I forget the woman who plays Barb. She's too big of a name to kill off after one season.
Amy Smart.
Amy Smart, thank you. She was one of the big gets for the show, and I'm likening the idea to the inverse of Game of Thrones. Most times when you bring on a big name, that's the name to carry the show. Marcus and I always like to go with Ron Perlman of Sons of Anarchy. Yeah, I want to say Katie Sackhoff. That's not her name, but it's something similar. She played Gemma. She was Peggy on Married with Children. But the rest of the cast was largely unknown or were guys who were in middling background roles in other properties. So this was like a real big opportunity for a lot of these individuals to step forward. But when you look at Game of Thrones, the big name was Sean Bean. But they only brought in Sean Bean as a big name to kill him off at the end because anyone who hadn't read the books wouldn't know that Sean Bean's character dies, even though if you've been following Sean Bean's career, you knew he was going to die, because that's all Sean Bean ever does in movies. He was Bambi's mother. He was the face of the dude that looked at the Ark of the Covenant. He's literally been every character's death in every piece of cinema dating back 100 years. Sean Bean always dies. That's the gimmick. So we all should have known he was going to die, but still. With this show, I think it's going more traditionally where they're bringing in the big names to help carry the show season to season. So I don't see Amy Smart or Owen, Luke, Duke Wilson, whatever his name is. They're not going anywhere. But I do see your logic in Mike, though, and that's scaring me. Because Mike is legitimately a lot of fun. Just fucking, he shows up with a goddamn chocolate fucking volcano.
Yeah, from that minute he had that little interaction with Barbara's character to that scene at the game, they've really been ramping that character up in a meaningful way other than, the comic relief.
Mm-hmm.
But because he's been literally put on the outskirts of everything, it's like either something's going to happen, he's going to turn, which I don't see because it's his family. He clearly loves everybody, but or he's going to stumble on and see everything and going to get caught in the crossfire because that Zoe Zarek kid was killed so haphazardly. and some of the first few episodes is like, and apparently freaking Brainwave evolved from Charmeleon to Charizard, killing his son. So he says. He's on some real Xavier type stuff, and if you look at the preview, it literally looks like they're walking into Cerebro, or a version of it. But Luke Wilson is really the golden child of this show at this point, other than the actual villains, specifically Icicle. And I think the thing that I appreciated most about this episode, it proved what I kind of been saying this whole time, was that, like, we know that they got a great character, a great actor behind Star Courtney, but they've been right, and I think if everything stupid decision that they had to make got her to this moment, I guess it was kind of worth it, because the moment when she realized that he had been BSing her that whole time when he asked for that locket back, and then when she went back in the house and those emotions she had to rattle through, and Pat was like, if you need to scream, shout, swing at something, I'm here, and it was like her basic instinct to go off, and then she just kind of broke down and went into his arms. That is kind of why she works so well for this character, and I hope that they continue to like build off of this, because they keep having to do bullheaded stuff, and this entire episode was for nothing. So
here's hoping that's not the case. Turns out, giant plan. They're gonna take over half the country with brainwave brain power. Yeah. And they're also gonna kill the Whitmores, but that's not actually their name.
Yeah.
They don't actually have a family name yet.
yeah,
The Duganmores? The Whittigans?
I mean, half Whitmore, half Dugan.
Right?
yeah, it's funny because we had that conversation about like nothing ever gets deleted, like nothing ever really leaves the internet, and then it's like here comes Icicle, like the guy on tech support, pull up everything ever on a computer that was deleted. Thank you.
I mean, Icicle's, he's legit. He's too legit. He's too legit to quit. I apologize. So, Zach, thoughts on Stargirl?
It was a decent episode. What I suspected and wanted to happen happened the whole time. I have been wondering this whole season, like, the thing that I've been kind of wondering this whole time is, like, there's a picture of Starman. Courtney has a picture of her father. How can no one say definitively that they're not the same person? Especially when her mother finds out about it and Courtney tries to tell her. It's just like, why is this an issue? But I guess in this episode, he has a similar look to him, but doesn't really look that. They don't look alike, but they have a similar basic look to them. And I guess retroactively, all the pictures with both of them in them are kind of grainy and fuzzy, and you can't really tell.
Well, you can't really tell with Sam's photos. You can clearly tell who Starman is, but all of Courtney's actual dad stuff is like kind of like faded and worn.
Yeah,
much like her.
Yeah, but. But I will like the picture that Pat has with the old JSA. I mean, you can clearly see Starman's face. And the whole time, I'm just like, Barb knows what her dad looks like and knows that that's not him. Why is she not saying this?
That's what I'm saying. Exactly what I was saying.
So yeah, that whole thing bugged me, but I like what we got in the her father comes to town. We find out he's a giant asshole, and this whole time Courtney has been hoping beyond hope that her dad was not a giant asshole that abandoned them, but was a superhero that died in the line of action. And we got the downfall from that, and we got the very Spider-Man 2-esque thing of the staff's not working for me now. Oh, you just have to believe in yourself. Oh, it's working for me now again. Fantastic.
Raindrops keep falling on my head. Just when my things are too big for its bed, nothing but... I don't remember the rest of the lyrics of that stupid song.
But I do love what's going on. You know, the stark contrast between Brainwave and Icicle. The whole plan of taking over everyone's minds, I don't mind it because it's not the darkest thing in the world, but it's still evil, and it has a bit of that Silver Age-ness to it that I kind of dig.
Yeah.
But you have Brainwave, who's like, I killed my wife, I killed my son for this plan to work, and I'm going to kill anybody else, and I don't give a shit. Whereas Icicle is more like, he will kill anyone in an instant, but only if he perceives them as a threat to his greater plan. Like, he did not want to kill Barb or the rest of the family until he found out that she was looking into Starman, and then he's just like, kill her. Kill the bitch. Kill her daughter. Oh, and kill Mike too.
And
that was a dick move.
And even then, on a certain perspective, he's still like somehow attached, because if it was like it's serious, he'd do it himself.
Mm-hmm.
Brainwave handle it, because it's like they are the two most powerful, and it's funny because those dynamic exchanges. It's like Brainwave's playing a number 2 when he know he could be the number 1, specifically now that he's more powerful, but he's, he got into this whole thing to back Jordan's idea.
Mm-hmm.
So, that power dynamic is interesting, because, I could very much see something going down between them where, a power struggle. And because, he can literally just go around town handing out aneurysms. So it's like, at this point, he'll probably take over the ISA's mind too if he gets in the mood for it. So,
yeah. To be fair, the only people who have that ability anymore is the WWE. Just aneurysms across the land. That's some shitty booking, though. There are 2 minor things I want to talk about before we end today's show. They announced today Batman Death in the Family as a movie. But there's a catch. Zach, do you want to know what the catch is?
I would love to know the catch.
Do you remember what the original hook of it was in, 1985?
88, maybe?
Regardless.
Are we referring... which hook are we referring to? Are we referring to the Joker's Iranian diplomatic immunity, or the fact that people could call in to vote on if Jason Todd lives or dies?
Ha-cha-cha. Well, apparently we're reduplicating the 80s telephone system, because you can decide if Jason lives or dies in the movie. That's right, Batman Death in the Family is going to be interactive.
Final Destination.
I don't know if this is going to be awesome or terrible. There are... Yes, Marcus.
No, go ahead.
There are 3 selections that the trailer showed. Kill Jason, Super Kill Jason, or definitely Jason Big Dead. No, it's Jason dies, Batman saves him, Jason finds his own way out. So each of these paths lead to the next arc of the movie. Basically, you might hate this, Zach, but this is a movie that is building in a legitimate rewatchability into its core. Now, I don't know how long it's going to be in totality. Like, let's say you take one branching path. How long is it going to be? Is it going to be 70 minutes, which is about the running time of most DC animated films? Then that's awesome, because now you're getting 210 minutes worth of content. Assuming I did my math right, which I did.
You got it.
That would be huge bang for your buck. 210 minutes of content? Granted, we'll arguably say 40 minutes will be relatively the same throughout the movie, and that won't change too much. But you'll still see different endings, different peaks, different versions, or it'll just be, different like interactive scenes that will make up the totality of the film, and it'll still only be like 130 minutes, but it's interesting. Or it could be a really fucking short movie with like only 20 minutes worth of content per scenario. I don't know how this is going to go. But it does up the rewatchability factor, and it does stretch all the way to Red Hood's debut. So they're covering some time with this idea. So, Zach, because you're the aficionado of the big bad bats, what's your thoughts on this?
Mm-hmm. Well, initially against it, because when you look back at the original graphic novel, the original storyline, and basically the hotline of Jason lives or Jason dies, even though this is a fictional comic book thing, that's some pretty dark shit. But the twist that they're putting in this is essentially a choose your own adventure kind of a deal. I mean, it's still a little dark, a little morbid, but with 2 options that are good and 1 option that's not so good. I'm interested. I'm intrigued about this. I'm still very intrigued if there's going to be the Joker in the Middle East trying to sell reassembled nukes. And that's something we'll find out later.
Marcus, thoughts on the matter?
Yeah, I mean, once you kind of went down through it, it's an interesting gamble that they're doing here. But they kind of have to be careful because, I mean, if we had, a bunch of DC fans get together, specifically like real big DC animated fans get together and rank their top 10 movies, I'm pretty sure Red Hood is in top 5.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And when you kind of peak like that, like I say, it's an interesting gamble because we are in a time where, everybody's in their homes, so it's going to be, essential to get this, and it's kind of like an interactive thing, and like you said, the rewatchability in that, specifically if, it has great length to it in terms of runtime, that's a good thing, but, what you don't want is 200 some odd minutes of different versions of outcomes for like something like The Killing Joke. You know what I'm saying? Like that movie.
Yeah.
You don't want 200 some minutes of like, this time you got options. It's like, well, we shouldn't have had the option to watch this. So that's what you don't want. So I'm hoping that they, this calculated risk that they take is quality. Like I said, you kind of peaked with Red Hood, man. Like that movie alone, specifically because that character is so popular, has become so popular. That's not something you wanna fumble with. And like Zach talked about, like how they gonna go with stuff with the I went with the Joker, and then I think Red Robin's also supposed to be in it. So it'll be interesting, but I hope it's not like I said, like The Killing Joke with options.
IGN says this is a interactive short film with multiple branching story paths. So I guess each scenario will be probably 20 odd minutes, which makes sense. That's fine. Zach, this might be interesting to you. In one of the scenarios, and I'm guessing it's the one where Jason escapes on his own from Joker's devilish Middle Eastern trap, Jason returns to Gotham as Hush, or at least a version of Hush. At least we're led to believe it's Jason as Hush.
Huh.
That's what the trailer kind of insinuates. Definitely check out the trailer and see what you think.
I am intrigued by this because Hush was pretty much the first storyline where it was suggested that Jason Todd might be coming back.
So there's some historical significance. Also,
Yes.
and I think this is going to be interesting. As far as anti-piracy stuff goes, this is going to be hard to get your hands on illegally. At least in the format it's supposed to be delivered. So, I mean, maybe DC found their next way of broadcasting entertainment.
I was thinking about that. I was like, it's gonna be kind of weird trying to bootleg this, and then the option comes up and you can't pick. It's like, you really just bootlegging one option, really.
Hopefully, whoever bootlegs it will record each scenario out so you can see it all the way through. I can't imagine they're going to have like multiple paths within each scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that being a thing, but I could be wrong, and we'll find out eventually.
Like, hey, thieves, do your due diligence.
I feel that just based on how difficult and time-consuming that animated films are to make, I assume that there won't be branching paths within the 3 choices, but we shall see.
That's some real digital novel shit. Marcus.
Yep.
Any final thoughts?
Look, man, it's a hell of a way to shake stuff up for the animated stuff because they cleared the the centralized story with the what that was the rebirth stuff that they was doing. No, I mean not rebirth, the New 52 arc that they did. So they kind of really do have to shake things up, and I think they also you got this coming out, that Superman Man of Tomorrow, which is basically like DC's Archer, to kind of just name it. But it's definitely gonna be interesting where they go, because like you said, this could be a new way, depending on when we may or may not get out of this pandemic. This could up some revenue buys for them in terms of the animated stuff, because like you said, that option, unless everybody just sees it within themselves to tape all the potential outcomes. So, I dig it. That's it. You got to get creative in these times, man.
So, Marcus, this one and this last one, this one's for you, Marcus. Apparently, there's going to be a reimagining of the Green Hornet coming to a cartoon near you. It's going to be helmed by Kevin Smith, who's done a lot of work with Supergirl and Flash recently. And it's going to follow the adventures of a reimagined Green Hornet and Kato, who are now the grown son of the original Green Hornet and the daughter of the original Kato, as they prepare to battle, as they partner to battle crime in Century City. Terrible name for a city. We're thrilled to embark on a new animated series with Kevin, who has set up an incredibly rich world with a cast of amazing characters, especially Kato, who is no longer just a sidekick, but is now a strong female partner to the Green Hornet. We know she's a girl. You don't need to say she's a strong female partner. And to be fair, Kato was never just a sidekick anyway. And he damn sure wasn't in the movie. Hey, would you guess that it was Wild Brain EVP Content and Current Series Stephanie Betts who had to say that? We get it, Steph. You're selling the narrative. With his ingenious talent and passion for superheroes and classic franchises, Kevin is the perfect creator to update the Green Hornet. We're excited to share the news with Green Hornet and Kato with audiences worldwide. Bah. Kevin Smith's apparently ecstatic about the idea. And even though I'm not sounding too particularly keen on it, I'm just angry at the strong female running trope that has to be in every announcement ever. It still sounds like a decent idea, though.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't put badass in there, but
right?
I guess they
strong,
go
independent female. She's a strong, independent black woman. She's Japanese. It counts. Like, we're just going to hit every superlative for the strong, independent woman archetype since 1992. Okay, that's fine. Just rattle them all off.
Bring on the leather. We know it's coming. But, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I've kind of, liked some of the stuff that Kevin's did, with the DC TV shows. Some of the stuff that he's put in those episodes have really been cool, like little Easter eggs and whatnot. He clearly cares about. It's always great to see as a fan, because a lot of people just do it for the recognition or money grab. But I'm intrigued because he got his hands in a lot of stuff right now. I mean, obviously he still does, I think, with the Silent Bob stuff. Mm-hmm. And whatnot. He got other movies, and he's also behind like one of the He-Man things that's coming out. So I'm definitely looking forward to see what he does in that realm. I just don't know. This sounds intriguing, but it could really, just be, a flop, because we see it a lot of times where, like, now they coming out with shows and it's like, oh, these are the descendants of such and such, like, because I think they redoing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Inuyasha, but
yes.
They rebringing that out, a new series of that. I think it's gonna be like the daughter of Inuyasha and Kagome kind of runs into, I think, the daughters of Shishomaru or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's that seems like an easy transition to make after a very popular series, but sometimes it could be a flop, because I think they did something with like an offshoot of Naruto or Boruto, and I've heard nothing but thumbs down on that. So we'll see.
Well, didn't The Last Airbender do something like that, where they did the descendants of someone in specifically, and like the kid from the original Airbender was like now an old dude?
Well, there was the Adventures of Korra or some shit like that. It was basically the avatar from the Last Airbender series had died, and thus it was This was Avatar: The Next Generation, essentially.
I thought Yang was the old dude in this one. Whatever.
No, he, as far as I know, was never in it, but I only watched the first season. And then I was like, okay, shit ending. I'm done.
Google Yang Adventures of Korra. Let's find out what happens. Korra meets the first Avatar. Why was Korra canceled? Because it was terrible. How did Aang die? I said Yang, it's Aang. My bad.
Oh, well, there you go. Legend of Korra.
Aang and Tenzin. Yeah, he's in it.
Is he?
I guess. I
I thought the whole point was
Aang
you can't
and
have
Tenzin.
two avatars at once.
Well, maybe it's a ghost flashback? I don't fucking know. I don't watch this nonsense.
Probably.
My favorite Avatar: The Last Airbender nonsense was the M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong movie. And I don't mean favorite as in like I liked it. I mean it's the only thing I ever liked, or not liked. It's the only thing I ever saw. So by default, it wins. It's just kind of how the way it goes. So yeah, I'm curious to see how this Green Hornet thing goes. It's very JSA Jeff Johns era stuff. Let's pass down the mantles to the descendants. Like, wasn't this literally the fucking plot of the movie?
I never saw the movie, so I don't know.
Neither have I. The movie was trash.
About the Airbender thing?
No, Green Hornet.
Oh yeah, I've never seen it either.
I think we found out what our first review is going to be.
Oh God.
All right, gentlemen, we're done for the night. Go to realnerdcorp.com, RealNerdCorp.com. We're on Twitter at NERDCORP, on the Instagram at RealNerdCorp. Marcus can be found on his personals at ParadoxKid, ParadoxKid.
That's me.
You can also find him on the other podcast, The True Prentice Show, on Twitter, TruePennyshow. Thackeray over here. Say hi, Thack.
Hello.
You can find Mr. Thackeray Binks over on his DeviantArt or Instagram page at Radiance2020, RADIANCE2020. And you can find my dumbass over on Twitter at ChadNerdCorp, ChadNerdCorp, and on Instagram at Chad'sPhotoHut. If you missed any other past podcasts and you want to catch up, do so by going to RealNerdCorp.com. We have links to our Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Twitch account, all available on like any post you click on the website. It's everywhere. You have no excuses not to find this shit. Mark's will be back next Thursday, 9 p.m. Twitch.tv/Comic and GameCorp live, and we'll talk more Stargirl and Doom Patrol and whatever else catches our peripheries. So, for Marcus Green and Zachary Tyler, PP Duncan, I'm Chad Porter. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for giving us a chance. And as always, Marcus, take us home.
Good night, me.